I'm Simon Cullen, and I'm the instructor for Dangerous Ideas in Science and Society. Welcome to the class. We have an exciting semester planned, and I don't want to waste any lecture time describing the mechanics of this class. So this video will introduce you to the nuts and bolts, and I'll also explain some of the reasons for the class's peculiarities. This video supplements the syllabus. It does not replace it. I urge you to closely study the syllabus, but I will not test your understanding of it or otherwise attempt to coerce you into reading it. Instead, I'll just say that without understanding the syllabus, this class is unlikely to go well for you. Questions you have about the policies or structure of the class should be asked on Canvas. With such a big class, we can't respond individually to generic questions, but if you have a question that's unique to your situation or that you don't feel comfortable asking publicly, you should email me. Three features of this class are likely unfamiliar. The first is assessment options. You choose your own pathway through the class. The second is optional mandatory attendance policies. You choose whether to make your attendance count toward your final grade. And the third is argument visualization problem sets. I'm going to explain what each of those means, but first I want to explain the aims of the class and the norms which make those aims attainable. The aims of this class are first, to supplement the development of your reasoning skills and your ability to engage deeply with political, moral, and philosophical arguments. Second, I want to provide you with a setting where you can have respectful, open and honest discussions about challenging topics and unpopular, heterodox opinions. And third, I want to provide you with a rigorous introduction to the best arguments, both for and against various dangerous ideas. What exactly is a dangerous idea? Well, we're going to talk about that in lecture. You've probably guessed this given the name of the course, but if you wish to avoid the possibility of being offended, you should reconsider taking this class. Now, I want to be very clear. I do not mean it's okay to deliberately or carelessly offend people. To the contrary, this class only works if we follow very strong norms of respect, treating everyone with dignity and recognizing their right to develop and defend their own arguments. You should feel comfortable expressing and exploring arguments, no matter how unpopular they might be. But the old advice, think before you speak, definitely applies. The norms we need in this class are the exact opposite of what you find on Twitter. On social media, you're judged on the worst possible interpretation of something you've shared. In this class, you have to forget all of that. You have to begin with the assumption that someone who seems to disagree with you is not stupid, evil, or deranged. You should look for the kindest, most compassionate, most intelligent, and most charitable interpretation of what they've said. This idea is sometimes called the principle of charity. This isn't always easy to do. Most of us react quickly to perceived slights with resentment and contempt. But to have productive discussions about sensitive topics, we have to control these reactions. That's not only necessary to achieving our goals in this class, I believe it's also good advice generally. Here's why. Most of our interactions with other people are deeply ambiguous. I'll give you an example I love. It's from a 1980 study. I'll link to the paper if you're interested in the description below. Let's imagine you're a participant in the study. You arrive at the lab and you're told the experimenters are investigating how people react to folks who have stigmatized physical characteristics like large facial scars or burns. To study this, they're going to have a Hollywood makeup artist paint a fully convincing facial scar that runs all the way from the corner of your mouth to your right ear. After the makeup is done working on your face, they hand you a mirror and you can see the fake scar looks 100% real. But before you're sent to the next room to have a conversation with another person, the experimenters explain to you that the makeup can dry out and crack, so they have to apply some moisturizer to your scar before you get started. When they apply the moisturizer, they actually wipe the makeup completely off your face. So your face looks perfectly normal, but you don't know this. You believe you have a very large facial scar. Now the experiment can begin. You're sent to have a 5-minute chat with another person who does not know anything about the study other than the fact that they are to have a conversation with another participant. You can guess what happens. If you believe you have an ugly facial scar, you will think the person you're talking to is going to great efforts to avoid looking at you. You will think the person doesn't like you, that they find you unattractive, and that they are patronizing. But they aren't, and they don't. A fact that is easily verified by having other people review a video of your interaction. Your perceptions clearly reflect how you expect people to react to someone with a very big facial scar. And because all interactions between people are deeply ambiguous, why did she look away from you at that moment? Why did she ask that question? Why did she use that tone? Why did she move her chair back? Why is she saying so often? Because our interactions are so ambiguous, we can easily find evidence for nearly any interpretation. The point is, we choose how to interpret these ambiguous situations. And if this class is to succeed, we have to choose the most charitable interpretations. Studies like the one I just described also explain why it's so important not to teach people that their physical characteristics are stigmatizing. And I really wish people would talk about that more, but that is not a topic for this video. Anyway, unfortunately, some popular ideas, whatever their other merits, make it even harder to follow the principle of charity. The idea of a microaggression invites us to instantly embrace the least charitable interpretation of what others say and do. Sure, when someone asks Eric, an Asian American, "But where are you really from?" just after Eric has told them he's from New Jersey. Sure, they could be saying, "You're not really one of us." But they could also be expressing a genuine interest in Eric's cultural heritage. The truth is we don't know, but we should begin with the more charitable assumption. It's just like the facial scar experiment. If we expect thinly veiled aggression and intolerance in our interactions with others, we will have no difficulty finding evidence to confirm our expectation. In fact, we'll find it automatically, without even looking, and with no awareness of the fact that we are selecting one of many possible interpretations of an inherently ambiguous interaction. So if you're offended by something, whether it's something a classmate says, or something your TA says, or something I say, or something in one of the readings, your job is to argue against it, and to argue for your own view. And arguing means providing reasons. I can't stress enough how important that is. If I say something that offends you, I hope you're going to feel comfortable enough to talk to me directly. When students have come to talk to me, the result has always been a productive and often enough enlightening discussion. We might discover and we might clarify some kind of misunderstanding, and we will very likely come out of it with more understanding and mutual respect. There's so much more to say about this topic, about the principle of charity, about giving people the benefit of the doubt. And we're going to return to it throughout the semester. But now let's get to the course policies. Many of this class's policies aim to give students meaningful control over their learning. Many educational practices are deeply coercive, but they're so common that we sometimes don't even notice this. Think about the idea of grading. That idea alone is coercive. Grades say, do what I want and you'll get a prize. Don't, and you'll be punished. That's coercion. Mandatory attendance policies. They say, come to class on time, otherwise you'll be punished. You can probably think of many more examples from your experience at school. This class aims to avoid coercion as much as possible, partly out of respect for your agency and responsibility, and partly because doing so makes good pedagogical sense. Our large, compelling literature from educational psychology shows that students who don't feel controlled by their teachers are more motivated to learn, and in fact learn more. Researchers have reliably found that when students see teachers as supporting their autonomy, they report more enjoyment of class and lower anxiety, and their class performance actually improves. One study found that compared to participants in a directed learning condition, participants given an autonomy-enhancing learning task reported greater interest in the material, they learned more, and they retained more over a week later. This basic result doesn't just show up in lab studies. A study of over 300 high school students in Belgium found that when students believed their parents and their schools promoted their autonomy, it resulted in both higher GPAs and greater scholastic competence. Another study of nearly 500 high school students in rural Iowa found that autonomy-promoting teachers reduced students' intentions to drop out of school. The positive effects of autonomy have been found across a very wide array of disciplines. One study found that supporting student autonomy in science classes led to greater motivation to achieve in the sciences. And another found that students with stronger feelings of autonomy showed greater intrinsic motivation and consequently greater persistence in foreign language learning. So this class supports your autonomy in two main ways. First, you're not required to come to class. Second, you choose how you are assessed. Optional attendance policies mean that showing up to class doesn't, directly anyhow, affect your grades, whereas mandatory attendance policies punish you if you don't show up to class. This class takes a different approach, optional mandatory attendance. Optional mandatory means that you choose at the beginning of semester whether you want attendance to count. And you can make this choice for each component of the course independently: lectures, recitations, and problem set sessions. This table shows the parameters for the course components. Here's how it works for lectures. If you choose to make attendance at lectures count toward your grade, then you commit to missing no more than 3 lectures over the course of the semester. If you meet your commitment, then you earn a 4% bonus on your final grade. And if you miss more than 3 lectures, then your grade will be docked by 4%. If you decide not to make attendance count, then whatever you do, it has no effect on your grades. To keep track of your attendance, we use an app called Acadly. If you choose to make attendance mandatory, then you will use the app to check into each class. It's a simple process. You just open the app on a mobile device when you arrive at class. The app will tell you once your attendance has been recorded, and it will also make it easy for you to keep track of how many classes you've missed. You should install Acadly on a mobile device before the first day of class. You can't use your laptop to check into class. The website cannot register attendance. The app works by using Bluetooth to check that you're in the same room as I am. So you have to use it on a cell phone or a tablet. I've put a link to the app in the video description, so remember to install it. So that covers mandatory optional attendance. The second way we try to support your autonomy is through assessment options. That essentially means you choose how you're assessed in this class. In this class, there are 2 assessment options. The first is essay-based assessment, which we sometimes call option 1. If you choose this option, then you will be assessed on the basis of weekly reading questions and 2 short essays, a midterm and a final. The second, much more popular option is problem set-based assessment, which we sometimes call option 2. Last semester, 85% of students chose this option. If you choose option 2, you will be assessed on the basis of a series of weekly visual argument analysis problem sets. I'll link to a website below that explains what these problem sets are and why I think they're so valuable. There'll be around 15 problem sets, plus a few bonus ones in case you want to boost your average. Problem sets are designed to help you understand the readings and to prepare you to contribute to classroom discussions, so it doesn't make sense to offer extensions. Assignments that you do not submit or that you submit late will automatically receive a 0. But remember, when calculating your final grade, we will exclude your 3 worst scores, and those can include assignments that you skip. If you get to the end of the semester and you are not satisfied with your problem set scores, we also offer the option for you to shrink the contribution of the P-sets by 20%. All you need to do is write a final essay. Students who choose problem set-based assessment get lots of support in the form of rapid, narrative feedback on all their work and the opportunity to attend problem set sessions. Sessions generally run on Wednesday and Thursday evenings. In a P-set session, you work on your P-sets. You can collaborate with your classmates and get immediate feedback from the teaching staff. Attending is a great idea for at least 3 reasons. First, you have to work on your P-sets in any case, and it's much more fun to work collaboratively with your classmates. Second, when you get stuck, you can ask the teaching staff questions, and with this real-time feedback, you will learn more and do better. Third, if you choose optional mandatory attendance, you can earn a 2% bonus on your final grade for attending problem set sessions. I think there are very strong reasons to choose problem set-based assessment. Learning to strip an argument down to its essence and to lay bare its logical structure is the best technique I know of for improving people's ability to deconstruct and understand arguments. It's an all-purpose tool that you will use not only in classes, but also in daily life. If you're interested in the evidence for this claim, you can start with an article that I published in Nature Science of Learning, where we report the results of a 7-year experiment with Princeton undergraduates. The basic finding is intense training in argument visualization dramatically improves students' topic-neutral reasoning abilities. Nothing else comes close. You can find a link to the article in the description below and in the first course module on Canvas. Because argument visualization will be a new thing to everyone, and I want you to feel comfortable experimenting with it without having to worry about your GPA, this class does not force you to choose between the problem sets and the essays until the deadline for the midterm essay. So if you start out trying the problem sets and later decide they aren't for you, all you have to do is submit a midterm essay to switch into the essay-based assessment stream. I hope you'll experiment with the argument visualization problem sets. If you're interested in my empirical journey to this idea of offering assessment options, I have a short video that presents the results of an experiment I ran on CMU students over 3 years. I'll link to that in the description below. But the main finding is that the more control I gave students over how they were assessed, the harder they worked, and the more they learned. I think it's a super cool study with very cool results. So I hope you'll check out that video. I'll put the link in the description below. The last thing I want to say is the problem sets are tightly connected to what I started out talking about, using the principle of charity to have good debates about very sensitive topics. You can't have a productive debate. You can't engage rigorously with the reasons for policies if you can't engage with arguments in a sophisticated way. That point is so critical. If the class was only about discussing controversial topics without providing training to actually make that discussion productive, the class would fail. The skills you learn from problem sets, they aren't these dry abstractions that you'll never use again after this class. They're all-purpose tools for deeply understanding and rigorously evaluating arguments. You should use them not only when completing problem sets, but also in discussions with your classmates, TAs, and with me. They teach you to slow down and to give yourself time to articulate your arguments clearly, aware of their weaknesses, and hopefully how they can be improved. Among other things, problem sets will develop your ability to detect an argument's unstated assumptions. And that's crucial because it is in those assumptions that problems often hide. Okay, now you should read the syllabus, post any questions you have about it on Canvas, and don't forget, of course, to install Academy on your phone or tablet. I hope you're as excited as I am for this semester. I can't wait to get started, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you all soon.